There we go.
Well, g'day everybody and welcome to the Cellar edition number 4. Jose's down in Tassie, Owen.
Yeah, got me this time.
Got Owen in for the Cellar, and I mean it's just meant that we've just gone in and we've just chosen whatever bottles we wanted.
Yeah, we got free reign this time.
So Jose, sorry mate if you didn't want to bring any of these out, but we just thought we'd take the initiative and bring out a couple of really interesting bottles for the Cellar this week, and 2 artists. Last week we had a cracking artist tasting. So
we've been under artist fever recently, I think.
Yeah, and the Le Maison Whiskey Artist Series are always great. So we've got 2. The first one, we've got a Bruichladdich 25-year-old from Artist 8.
That's 2 years ago, at least 2 editions before. Currently up to Artist 10 this year.
So this one is exactly 25 years old. Yeah. Like we know with the artist range, they're above 25, like 25 or above if it says 25. But this one is exactly 25.
Yeah. Aged in a bourbon hogshead.
Yeah.
What have we got here? So aged in a bourbon hogshead, distilled 1993, bottled 2018. So 3 years old in bottling. 217 bottlings only, done at cask strength.
Yeah.
Cask strength at 46.9. And
it's a really interesting year for Bruichladdich 1993. There's lots of independently bottled from 1993. Cadenheads have a couple. Your friends at SMWS, they released one in 2011 or 12. And the same Bourbon Hogshead. All of these are really cracking casks. Quite fruit forward before Pete sort of got introduced to the distillery. They're absolute crackers. So that one's been brought out, and I think only one of those available. So
just the one. Fantastic. Bruichladdich, always great. 25 years old. What more can you ask? And the second bottle, we've got a 17-year-old Bowmore. So over 15. Likewise from the Artist number 8 range, but this is from the Sherry edition. So ticks all those Aussie whiskey favourites. We've got a 17 Bowmore Sherry cask finish.
55.3%.
Wow, so still up there. And limited, big sherry cask. So 6, 7, 9 bottles. And I think we've got only a couple of those at best. And these are old artist bottles. So these fetch good money these days.
It's cracking whiskey. 2 really good distilleries. So those are the 2 bottles coming out of the cellar this week. Thank you, Jose. Now onto our sample. So as you know, we're doing a 30ml sample as well for every cellar. And for this one, we've gone for the North of Scotland Distillery, 41-year-old. Now this was done as part of the Old Masters Painter series by Finest Whiskey. And it's 41-year-old, closed distillery.
Nearly twice my age there.
Yeah. So a really rare opportunity to try a whiskey with a lot of age, but also one that's got some really interesting tasting notes, and one that's been it's got really good reviews. I think on Whiskey Base it's right up there in the high 80s, and a lot of people are commenting on the sort of the strawberries and cream, which is one of my favourite tasting notes of this one.
We adored this, didn't we? It sits well for a long good time. It brings a little bit of spice, but those, like you said, strawberries and cream, it just develops lovely over a good half an hour.
But just a rare opportunity to, I guess, have a little sample of a 40-year-old plus whiskey. So we've pulled that one out, and I think there's only going to be about 3 samples in there. So get in if you want one of those. And of course we did it in our old and rare whiskey tasting, which was just a 15ml version of that, and it was an absolute blast. So that one's going to be up there, and a really good opportunity to give a closed distillery, a really quite old bottling. It ticks a lot of boxes.
Absolutely.
Should we go over to Rumtown now?
Rumtown.
So the last couple of weeks we've been focusing on pulling out a wine and talking a little bit about those, and champagne as well. This week we wanted to focus on a couple of rums from Le Maison de Whiskey as well, the Trans-Caribbean, in this case, rum line. So these 2 come as a little bit of a complement to the Transcontinental line you guys may have had before. We did a previous tasting of that. I think we've got a couple more coming up in the future there. So these 2 are sort of the younger, more small batch rather than single cask variants. We've got a spiced rum in the Flying King and a high ester white rum
in the Night Rambler.
Shall we have a little try?
I think we should. Which one are we going for first?
I might go for the Night Rambler if you want to go the Flying King.
I might go Flying King, yeah.
So, I guess these rums were released to showcase a style. I mean, in the Night Rambler's case, it's a really sort of high ester, Haiti, Jamaican sort of style. And it is just that. It really does blow your socks off. And when we talk about that high ester and funk, there's lots of different ways that can sort of be introduced to the spirit. Processes in the production that can bring that. And in this case, a big part of that's a slow fermentation process. And it's a cracking rum. Jumps out of the glass, quite literally.
Yeah, so I was really impressed by the Night Rambler, but this Flying King, a bit of a step up over your Bundys and your Captain Morgans. This is got that lovely gingerbready softness to it. Beautiful in cocktails. This can't be stressed enough about these two. Yeah. If you guys are interested in making rum cocktails, these two just level up those drinks massively.
It makes the rum really stick through.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of modern rum brands where that flavour profile can be slightly overwhelmed when you start, using a mixology. But these ones, think of a funky daiquiri or a mojito or something like this will really jump out of the glass. It's cracking. And it is. So this one, the Night Rambler, it's an old pirate ship in the Caribbean, and it's on the front, 1725. This ship was known for being, pirated basically, and going aboard other ships, causing chaos around in smaller towns and stuff. And so that's where the inspiration for the bottle and the name comes from. This rum might not quite be that dangerous, but it's definitely popping out of the glass. Easy
sipping as well. Beautiful on the rocks. However you kind of want to do these. Both sit at 42. Not super punchy. A lot of people find that the high single cask, maybe cask strength style rums, maybe punch them in the face a little bit too much. Yeah, this is lovely. Sits beautifully in the middle.
No, this is gorgeous as well. So these ones as well are pretty well priced. So that's one of the great things about these, 80 and 85, and something that's really worth having on the bar cart. I don't think you're going to be disappointing out in these to your collection.
Most definitely.
So to round out the cellar for this week, we've just done a collaboration with Knocklofty Distillery in Tassie. We've made a Wandering Cobbers Gin with them as part of our independently gin bottle label. Now, what this is basically a combination of various botanicals and fruits from around the distillery. So Knocklofty are on West Hobart, right sort of below the Knocklofty Peak in West Hobart, and it's an old orchard area, and around the area there's just a plethora of amazing fruits and botanicals, things like dates, cranberries, cherries, right in their backyard. And we've decided to sort of utilise a lot of those, put them into this. So it's quite a spicy, aromatic gin, but really quite fruit forward as well.
We loved it, didn't we? We did the fruity gin tasting last week together, and it blew my socks off. Those cranberry flavours, a soft spice, a little bit of Christmas cakiness to it. It was beautifully rich. Again, great straight gin. No mixer needed, but works well with a good little bit of fever tree or something along those lines.
For sure.
And how many bottles? Quite a small batch.
Well, there were 48 bottles made for this, and well less than 40 left now after the tasting and our sampling up. So a very good price too now at $75. Wow. So small batch, really interesting for me. It's like cherry ripe chocolates and the Christmas cake for sure pops through as well. Absolutely. Hot cross buns, those sort of beautiful fruits and spices. So that one won't last long, and there's going to be a little bit more of a video on that one below. If you're reading this if you're watching this on the cellar, if you're not and you're watching this on YouTube, then if you want to be able to see what we're talking about in terms of all these products and the links to them, then subscribe to our newsletter, and that way you'll get sent every Wednesday the cellar with some beautiful bottles that have come out of the Casa de Vinos Cellar, and we'll always have a little bit of a chat about some rums and some gins and wines, etc. as well. But yeah, it's a cracking cellar this week, some really good stuff. So we hope you find something you like, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Cheers. Boo.